Welcome to That's Hot Dad podcast. I'm your hot dad host, Brandon Perna, here with Will Keys, who's trying to play me some dad rock before this episode started, and then Alexa just went on a rant and would not shut the fuck up. But this is now the That's Good Broncos podcast. We are back. Okay, so some changes I need to explain before Will and I get into talking about the Broncos. Some AFC West news today, a couple little NFL nuggets. I'm going to have two podcasts now on wherever you listen to podcasts. That's Good Sports, which is basically the audio version of my That's Good Sports YouTube show. And then That's Good Broncos is going to be its own bi-weekly podcast. I think we're going to shoot for two 20-minute episodes, and then the Broncos prediction episodes will be there, and they will be on the That's Good Broncos YouTube channel here as well. You might have noticed it got rebranded back to That's Good Broncos, so whenever I don't have enough room for extra Broncos shit on my main channel, it's going to come here. Prediction episodes will be here. I'll try to be a little more clear about that later, but that's why there are some changes visually here, and I think the last thing just wasn't really working out, and I miss having a place for Broncos shit. And you and I talk enough about the NFL throughout the week on the main YouTube channel. I feel like when we sit down to chat for 20 or 30 or 40 minutes about football, we really just want to talk about the Broncos. So that's what we're going to do moving forward. And then inject any relevant NFL shit. We'll probably talk a little bit about Leonard Fournette today, the Chiefs extending Andy Reid, the Broncos trade Isaac Yiadom. That was kind of a surprise.
Big one.
Von Miller has some high words of praise for Drew Lock. And so that's kind of the rundown. That's what we're doing. Sorry for talking over you, Will. Anything to add?
No. Just wanted to say I'm getting used to having to share a dad now.
Yeah. I'm no longer just Will's father. I am a real father. Almost a week into being a dad. Friday morning, early, 1:45 a.m. be a full week. It's been crazy. I wasn't going to do any work this week, and I found that it's been hard. There's just so many things I've wanted to talk about this week, and none of it's huge, but it just feels like since football's so close right now, people are starting to get excited about things like Leonard Fournette getting cut. I was like, oh man, I wish I could just make a video about that. Even Mohamed Sanu being released by the Patriots, I'm like, that's a decent wide receiver some team can get. I told Will to not worry about doing any work this week, and then I've made him work twice. So I think what I learned is I really do enjoy doing this. Now I'm just trying to wrap my head around how I'm going to schedule that out with a baby. But I think we figured it out. Basically, if my wife takes care of the baby all night and all day, then it works really nice.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, and I think ironically, you may become more productive as a father.
I think I'm going to be there's just no breaks at all. Every free second I have now, it's I'm just doing something to try and help out, whether I'm washing bottles, feeding, changing diapers, doing laundry. It's usually when I would sit down and look at Twitter, maybe bang out a paragraph for the show or just watch some bullshit on TV, that's gone. I can kiss those days goodbye.
Yeah, I mean, to have a child this close to NFL season, first of all, a lot to take on at once. Second of all, was that a planned move on your end?
No. Well, I mean, we were planning on having the kid, but
the timing though.
It was it just happened right when we really started trying. So I think we thought it might take, a little bit of time, but my boys can swim. They're a bunch of tiny Michael Phelps and Ryan Lochte's, but girls. I don't know any girl swimmers. Shit.
They're a bunch of Katie Ledeckis.
There we go. That's
There you
enough
go.
name anyway.
Natalie Coughlin's. Yeah, I think that's just a perfect image and the one that I want to stick with. But yeah, no, congratulations to you. Big week.
Big week. I'm glad
Yeah.
she came a week early too, because
Yes.
to come today, scheduled, but she came early, which has given me a week to get my bearings to figure out how to do a football season. Should note that we're going to be live every Sunday after the daytime game, so probably like 6 or 7 on Sundays during Sunday Night Football, but we're going to recap kind of all the shit that's happened in the Broncos game, so that'll be on the main channel, but just know that's coming. But first, okay, I thought we were going to talk about Isaac Yiadom first, but then I saw Bleacher Report post this article about Von Miller saying that he thinks Drew Lock is a fucking rock star. So, Von Miller's a good hype man. He's always been positive with the quarterbacks. But with with football being about a week and a couple days away, I think he's actually very, very accurate this time.
Yeah, he never called Case Keenum a fucking rock star.
Nope.
Or Joe Flacco.
Nope.
I don't know what you would call it. Like, if you're going to compare Joe Flacco to a musician.
Oh, he'd be like a
karaoke singer.
Joe Flacco as a musician. That's good. Oh, he's like Adam Levine.
Physically, maybe. Yeah, we'll go with that one. In that, like, he was good, like,
one time
10, 15 years ago, and is just kind of hanging on at this point and made way more money than he deserves.
Do you know like any diehard Maroon 5 fans out there?
No.
I've never once heard somebody say my favorite band, Maroon 5, motherfucker.
I also don't know a ton of 13-year-old girls, so
that's good.
I think that
was a trick question. That's how we catch predators here at That's Good Sports.
Yeah.
How much Adam Levine do you know?
I can recite his entire catalog. All right, take a seat right over here. Our special guest this week is Chris Hansen. I was about to say, it's crazy how much I get Scott and Chris Hansen mixed up.
Oh, I know. There was a moment where I was like, wait, was Scott Hansen, did he used to be the Catch a Predator guy? I was like, oh, no, they're different people. They're different. But back to Von Miller, he called
7 years of mandatory lockup in a state correctional facility starting now.
Damn it. Von Miller, I think Trevor Siemian, didn't he call him Peter Parker?
Oh, yeah, something like that.
And everybody's like, dang, you should have called him Spider-Man if you like.
Yeah, I feel like Peter Parker's kind of a nerd.
Yeah,
right.
I think that was the only other compliment.
If it's even a compliment at that point. But, I mean, if you don't know that Drew Lock is cool as hell at this point, I mean, you're not paying attention. Yeah, I know Good Morning Football had him listed in their top, 8, 10 personalities in the NFL right now. So they have some kind of bizarre ones, but obviously I think they nailed Drew Lock. Good Morning Football.
Oh, okay. And he was in the top 8?
Yeah, I think he might have been 7 or something.
All right. That's the thing. I think Drew Lock, even if the Broncos lose, we're going to be able to palate a loss. Palate? Is that right? We're going to be able to take a loss a little bit better because I think we'll walk away from games knowing Drew Lock's going to put it all out there. He's bringing energy and I don't know. It felt like times with Joe Flacco. You're just are you even trying that hard to win? It's if Drew Lock loses, it's not going to be because he's not trying. I think is
yes. Yeah, I think that's kind of what we got out of Joe Flacco. It was an extreme case of the check's been cashed and he's phoning it in.
Yeah, except for I'll say Flacco was pretty clutch towards the end of games. A
couple of games there.
He got him. He gave him a chance, and they had those bad breaks last year. But
yeah, I'll also as a caveat, he had to be clutch in those games because he was just like he looked like a weekend at Bernie's for the first 3 quarters. The offense was just dragging his lifeless corpse up and down the field. But yeah, Drew Lock is this is as excited as we've been able to get about a young guy. I mean, you take Peyton Manning out of the equation because the thing with Manning is we all loved him, obviously, and he grew to be like our guy. And I think he kind of feels the same way at this point. But it's a lot different than kind of a homegrown talent. You feel a different sort of connection having known them ahead of time, having watched, hearing reports about, Elway's going to a Missouri game to go look at this quarterback. I'm going to go watch the game too and see what he sees. And then seeing them trade back into the second round to go pick him up and watching him develop and go on IR. And finally, when he plays, you see something promising. Like that's a different type of excitement than just like your team kind of out of the blue being able to sign a Hall of Fame quarterback. And it's something we haven't really had since Jay Cutler. And I know Jay Cutler, in his first full season, I think he played 4 games at the end of his rookie season. Locke played 5. I'd say Locke was more successful from a team standpoint. I think Cutler went something like 2-3. Maybe they did play 5 games, but kind of underperformed the second year
because they lost that last game. And he was taking over for Plummer, who is really popular amongst Broncos fans. So it was kind of like it was a different situation.
Yeah, he was popular. He couldn't have been more different than Joe Flacco in that. Like Plummer just had like everything. He poured everything into winning, and we're not just like saying that out of respect for him as our.
I think I think Drew Lock probably embodies the spirit of Jake Plummer on the field, but has like the physical talent of Jay Cutler. So there we go. The perfect analogy.
He really is. Yeah, he really is just if Cutler cared about anything, which and I think sure might have at one point.
I'm sure once Drew Lock eventually retires, he'll come on our podcast just like Jake Plummer as well.
Absolutely.
I'm sure he's already thinking about that.
He's just trying to follow in Jake's footsteps.
Yeah.
And I think we'll be able to set it up when we're doing the podcast. That'll be 20 years down the road, maybe more.
Yeah. It's kind of funny too, because Elway took chances on those free agent quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Those back-to-back years, Keenum and Flacco. And it was just like, if he had waited this offseason came 1 year earlier with all of the options out there, the Broncos could be home to Phillip Rivers, Teddy Bridgewater, Tom Brady, or Cam Newton even. You know what I mean? But it's like Elway kind of got burnt twice. It was just like weird timing. I feel like I'm glad the Broncos got Drew Lock, and I'm just glad they didn't have to go through that again this offseason. And you're right. It's nice to be excited about a guy who feels like he is 100% the Broncos quarterback and should be, I don't know how successful or how great he's going to be, but I feel like he was definitely the right draft pick. And we haven't been able to say that about any of the previous Broncos drafted quarterbacks, after Manning. So,
right. I mean, just look at, just kind of like to freezing cold take myself. The guy I wanted in that draft was Dwayne Haskins, who I think went either 10 or 15, one kind of round number like that, to the Washingtons. And they had a quarterback battle in camp essentially with Kyle Allen and the ghost of Alex Smith's leg. And they just announced that he's the starter today. And obviously, and too, just watching, I think they both got 5 games last year, and watching the difference between those two guys, kind of different, separate situations aside, you get Locke, however many picks back it was, like 20 picks. That's
Yeah.
a big deal. You get to trade
Reisner
out.
and Locke right there. It'll be looked back at as a great draft.
Fant, Reisner, Locke.
Yeah. And like I wasn't super excited about Fant, but I was wrong there. Like I think he's going to be awesome. So yeah, that's going to be a good draft for Elway, historically speaking. Isaac Yiadom, was he also taken in that draft?
He was the draft before. He was he was after Chubb and whoever they took in the second round that year.
Okay.
Probably Royce Freeman right after him, something like that.
Yeah, so Royce Freeman may be on the bubble as well. But okay, so the Broncos send Yiadom to the Giants for a 7th round pick. Did this surprise you that the Broncos would deal a corner right now?
No. Yes. Yes and no.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, right? Like there's
right.
There's a competition for that 3rd spot, which makes it feel like there's a lot of depth there, which there is as long as AJ Boye and Bryce Callahan stay healthy. If one of those guys gets hurt, then it feels like the Broncos are in a dicey cornerback situation again. But I think that means Devontae Bosby might be playing pretty well. I'm glad you told me that it's Isang Bassey, but I'm going to say Bassey until the day I die, because why would you not say Isang and Bassey together?
It's perfect.
It's perfect. So he started to get reps today, and then OJ Moody is still injured. So I guess there's just like a lot of unknown there, and we're not going to know until we get a couple weeks into the season whether letting Yiadom go was the smart move or not. I thought he played a little bit better last year after he kind of got used to Fangio's system, but
yeah. So I was kind of looking at the numbers, and Yiadom, he's a 3rd rounder, so that's kind of significant in cutting or getting rid of a 3rd rounder after just a couple years. But he got better in that he allowed 3 touchdowns as a rookie, didn't allow one last year. But he allowed, I think, 55 or so completion percentage as a rookie, and then that went up 15% last year. Okay. So I think teams learned to pick on him. I think his first season that really screwed him up was it looked like he was in position a lot of the time and just didn't have the ball skills really to either bat the ball down or get an interception, and ended up like giving up a lot of big plays kind of at the point of attack rather than either trailing a guy or being out of position completely. And last year it kind of looked like he was out of position, and part of that could be because they switched to playing more zone, and he's a 6'1" corner, which would lead you to believe that he's more fit for a man style of defense. And Bassey's 5'10". He's 190 pounds, so he's kind of fit for a zone style that they run.
He's built. That's like Chris Harris size, right?
It's pretty much Chris Harris size. I think Harris might be a little taller, but 5'10", 190 is like pretty prototypical nickel corner kind of size. But we're gonna see if he is like truly the guy until OJ Moody is healthy, and we don't know when that's gonna be. But he's gonna be on the field about half the time, given if you're looking at what Yiadom did last year, because he was on the field for 48% of their snaps on defense.
Yeah, that's quite a bit. So he could be splitting time or he could be on the field with in packages with Bosby and Callahan and AJ, or splitting time with Bosby, right?
Right, and Yiadom wouldn't have seen that much of the field
if
Bosby
didn't get hurt.
Not gotten hurt.
Right.
But yeah, so you're going to see him you're still going to see him quite a bit, especially given that the nickel and sometimes the dime can end up being sort of a base package for defense
A basic
these days.
package. A basic package. Yeah,
That's
anytime a guy who's in our best named players episode has a chance, I'm going to root for him. It'd be cool if he just turns out to be a ball hawk. Every year you're like hoping like one of those guys you didn't think about sort of just emerges as being really good.
Yeah.
I think another guy who has that possibility, and this is me basing it only on the fact that he had, 23 touchdowns in his final year at Western Michigan, is Levante Bellamy. How much do you know about him as a running back? How much Western Michigan football did you watch, Will?
I watched – how many games did they play? Times 60 minutes. That's how many minutes I watched them play. Times 0. So I guess 0.
Perfect.
But all I know is when they signed him after the draft, the two guys that they're like, oh, wow, that's a good signing, were Bassey and Bellamy.
Perfect.
And it seems like that's kind of coming to fruition here, especially with Bassey. And I will say it's like kind of fitting that the year they get rid of Chris Harris, another undrafted corner is going to make the team.
Oh, that would be amazing. And here's the thing about Bellamy, 5'10", 190 pounds, exact same size as Bassey.
You got it. It's perfect.
You just find that measurement, get one on offense, one on defense, boom, problem solved.
It's maybe the ideal height and weight for a human being, for a male human being.
Do you think the Broncos are going to keep Royce Freeman? Do you think they'll?
That's tough because I think they will ultimately, and they'll put Bellamy on the practice squad because there's an expanded practice squad.
Right.
And there's actually kind of interesting this year. There's a couple of slots for veterans to go on the practice squad.
Okay.
So they might – I don't know. That's going to impact how things work. And I think that we'll find out too, I think Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday is going to be a big day for the NFL. A bunch of teams got to get – well, all of the teams have to get down.
Yeah.
And can a player just go right onto the practice squad, or do they have to clear waivers first?
They have to clear waivers.
Okay. So, yeah,
that's kind of a risk, especially the vet. Like if you're going to say, okay, well, we're putting like Tim Patrick on IR or on the practice squad because we want to see like the younger guys. He's going to go like pretty quick.
Right.
Like the Patriots would just snag him immediately or something like that. I don't know. Waiver wire, yeah. It's not alphabetical by record, though. So, I think, like, you got to, like, make decisions as far as that one. I mean, maybe, like, it's a better idea to just, like, see if someone clears waivers as opposed to outright cutting them. Because you do, like, essentially you do cut the guys first, and then you sign them to the practice squad, so you're terminating their contract and doing a new one. I assume. I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's roughly exactly what I just said.
Yes.
But I mean, it's going to be weird. Plus, there's new injured reserve rules, so that I think were designed for guys that got sick, but teams are going to use it kind of in their for injuries. Like you could see KJ Hamler go on IR for 3 weeks.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if that happened.
Yeah, his hamstring heals.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if a lot of teams don't have guys who are viral, you know what I mean? Like they can use that to their advantage this season. If a healthy team could really benefit from that through the course of the year.
Extra roster spot.
Right.
For short-term injuries.
The other roster move the Broncos made was adding former Steelers linebacker Mark Barron for depth at the linebacker position. He's been in the league 8 seasons now. He was with the LA before the Steelers. I think Tampa Bay is where he started. Just like an average linebacker, though.
I mean, the thing about Yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying they need bodies at linebacker. It's been like the one position we kept thinking they would address in the draft for year after year, and they never really do. And it's kind of like the shallow end or the shallow position on defense. My question for you, though, is are you more concerned about linebacker or offensive line heading into this season as a Broncos fan?
I think I'm always more concerned about the offensive line because, the linebacker position at a whole is obviously going to be a plus. It's going to be a strength as long as you have Von Miller and Bradley Chubb on the bookends.
Right.
But
and Todd Davis is getting healthy. Like
inside guys. Yeah, so I think I am, and as soon as Davis comes back, he's pretty underrated. He's an unspectacular player, but he's pretty much like reliable. You know what he's going to do, and he's there to stuff the run. But Barron, he really took a step back last season. And the interesting thing about Mark Barron too is that he was drafted as a safety, and he's one of those first kind of like he became one of those like hybrid guys that you see pretty commonly now. That's kind of the Isaiah Simmons type guy of the world. Oh, he's not as versatile as Isaiah Simmons. You can, if you line him up at like slot corner or something, I'd be in bad shape. But yeah, he gave up 60% completions with the Rams in 2018, and that jumped to 73% last year with Pittsburgh. Plus, he doubled the yards he gave up. Like teams are really, picking him out as the weak link in that Steelers defense.
That's hard because the Steelers defense was so good last year.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is like, what are you going to do? Are you going to throw to Minka Fitzpatrick's side, or are you going to just throw at Mark Barron all day? He did get 3 sacks last year, so I think he was a little more involved and kind of closer to the line of scrimmage.
You would just assume like a guy who played safety in college, like his strength at the linebacker spot would be in coverage.
Which maybe typically tends to be. But
maybe just getting older plays a factor in that. I don't know how good Barron's been in coverage his whole career.
Put on a little bit of weight to be able to play closer to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah,
and that's a big
that's
thing.
Also tough.
But part of it's scheme too. Like maybe he wasn't a fit in the Steelers scheme. I can't I'm not smart enough to say like this is why he was unsuccessful necessarily in Pittsburgh, and this is why he'll be successful here, why they picked signing him. I mean, they kind of did a similar thing last year when Todd Davis was hurt, and they picked up Corey Nelson, and that was kind of a disaster for a couple weeks. And I think now – I think they made a more prudent signing.
Right.
So I think – to answer your question really again is – I'm more worried about the offensive line because the offensive line is more important, I think.
Yeah, that'll be the biggest question mark.
Especially right tackle again.
Yeah. Okay. That's all the big Broncos sort of news that's actually happened. There's always like training camp stuff day to day. The Chargers, they just love starting the season with one of their best players getting injured.
2 of their best players got injured.
Well, yeah. Mike Williams and Derwin James done for the season with his meniscus tear. That's 2 straight years for Derwin James. Jason Verrett, their corner was 3 straight seasons where he was getting significant injuries. Do you think Derwin James can match Verrett and go 3 for 3?
As long as he's wearing that bolt on the side of his helmet.
The cursed bolt. It sucks, too, because if there's like a guy – like as a Broncos fan, you never really care when an opposing team gets weaker when like one of their good players is out.
Right.
Derwin James is a fun player to watch. And it's just crazy that it keeps happening there. And it was, Bosa had those injuries. It's always something. And it was like a couple of weeks ago, I took out a joke where I wrote like that exact scenario where the Chargers on paper are going to have the best defense in 2020, but too many of their key players get injured before the season starts. I was like, that's just like a tired joke. So I took it out, and now it's fucking true. And I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah, it's really just not a joke at this point.
No.
It's like okay, well, it's going to be hot this summer.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of just the way the world works. But yeah, I mean, I think he had a great rookie season. Obviously, I think people are like kind of premature to like anoint him like a defensive player.
Well, yeah. They're like,
because that's what people did. Like it's like,
no,
all
I
right,
saw that. I think I saw it on NFL Network. They're like,
all the
probably
time.
was going to win defensive player of the year. Like, how the fuck are you saying that?
Yeah, chill out, dude. That's kind of I guess that's sort of the LA market for you, because like
They're
these
really
guys,
trying to hype it.
guys that are based in LA, like the NFL Network's based in LA. They're like their most convenient sources are the Rams and the Chargers. They end up talking to them more. They just kind of get like, I don't know, brainwashed into thinking like, oh, this team's going to be good because we spend the most amount of time with this team because we can.
Right.
It's like they're not based in, if they're based in Detroit, they'd probably get tricked into thinking the Lions are going to be good every year. And every single year they think the Chargers are going to be good.
Yeah.
I'm a little skeptical this year.
Yeah.
Let's just say that.
I think
Plus you get the Hard Knocks effect too.
I think the Chargers have the best chance of finishing last in the AFC West. They're gonna roll with Tyrod Taylor until they decide to play Justin Herbert. It's like you just have a question mark at your most important position. We've already talked about how Keenan Allen's not going to make the team great. So
I was astounded kind of looking at the difference in the numbers between Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. Mike Williams hit 1,000 yards on 49 receptions.
That's crazy.
That's just unbelievable efficiency. Keenan Allen, like he's just kind of like he's a reception merchant. He's just like, okay, I'm going to run another 5-yard out, another 5-yard slant.
Keenan Allen is actually what people say Michael Thomas is.
Yes. And Michael Thomas is like he's just a roided up, not literally, but like he's Keenan Allen on steroids.
Yeah, I think Michael Thomas, like all of a sudden this narrative came up where, he just catches 100 slant routes. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but,
I mean that's always going to happen too when you have two quarterbacks that are like getting older and have like kind of shitty arms and rely on just like timing and
they always know where the 5 to 10 yard route's going to be open.
Yeah, and Rivers anytime is like, all right, well I'm going to take a shot this time. He's like, I'm putting it in Mike Williams' hands, and it happened. It worked. Like it worked extremely well. But yeah, I think losing Mike Williams, that's a big deal too. I don't know how long he'll be out, but however many games they have to play without them, they're going to be at a pretty like serious disadvantage on offense. They don't have a lot of depth behind them.
No,
it's going to be. I would, and that's like part of the reason I took Austin Eckler in that fantasy league. Is like, okay, how many times is Tyrod Taylor, who like isn't known for he's nice looking deep ball, but doesn't have the strongest arm. Like, how many times is he just going to check down to Eckler?
Could be a lot.
Could be quite a few.
Eckler could be their number one running back and receiver.
It's possible. I mean, he was he had something like I think like 900 yards last year. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I am a little skeptical on him as a runner. I think getting Melvin Gordon back helped him a lot and kind of took some pressure.
Well, yeah,
on
he's
having to carry the ball a lot because he's not a big guy and he really is built like a receiver. But yeah, if they go into the season thinking like he's gonna be their like bell cow, I think they might be in trouble. But they could also work in, I think, Justin Jackson.
Yeah,
get a few carries, and then I like the guy they took out of UCLA, Joshua Kelly. I like watching him play in college, and I think he'll end up being a pretty big part of that offense.
Yeah, they'll need somebody. It's like he's kind of like Phillip Lindsay, where you don't really want him to be this, 3-down back. You want and Lindsay doesn't catch like Eckler, but he has that same sort of breakaway speed and elusiveness, and he's just a smaller guy. And they're both from Colorado.
Yeah, and you don't want to give them like a ton of volume, and that's why I think they're both going to be more effective on a per play basis
with Melvin Gordon.
With Melvin Gordon, yeah, and Melvin Gordon's like he's going to take so he's going to take heat, I guess, because of that holdout, and I don't think people will never forget like his season where he just didn't score as a rookie, taking in the round.
No touchdowns. But he's the key. Melvin Gordon is the key to making your other back good.
Yes.
Your other Philip Lindsay or your other Colorado college back good. You need Melvin Gordon.
To the point where you have to pay him like 3 times as much. It's worth it. It's worth it. It all like evens out.
Part of his money is paying for that other running back.
Yeah. Well, let's start. Here's another running back that not super efficient last year, but he gets a change of scenery.
Yeah.
So Leonard Fournette, we know the Jags released him in a pretty surprise move, I thought, earlier in the week. I don't think anyone really saw that coming.
No.
But looking at the numbers, they didn't want to pay him, and I don't blame him at all. We know like what a disaster that pick was. We don't need to
we already went into that.
I think at the time it made a lot more sense because Blake Bortles is coming off an AFC Championship appearance.
Right.
So, let's all calm down with that. Or I think that was the year. I'm sorry, that was the year before. But we saw a little bit of – they weren't ready to give up on Bortles because he was, a top 5 pick himself. So I'm not going to kill them for that. And, again, too, like Mahomes and Watson were not universally loved, obviously, because everyone wanted – a lot of people really thought Trubisky was the best quarterback in that class. Anyway, the point is Leonard Fournette goes to the Buccaneers. They now have Ronald Jones, who's been there a couple of years. They signed LaShawn McCoy, and now they have Leonard Fournette. Who do you think touches the ball the most this season? Is it going to be Fournette?
You would think if they went after him, that would be true. Bruce Arians said it's going to be Ronald Jones as the starter. I feel like Bruce Arians is going to lie about shit like that a lot.
Yeah, and what does the starter even mean?
I don't know. Like there's
NFL. It's all about who gets the most touches,
It's hard to say too because the way we've seen Brady work with backs is it's always like a rotation and they play to the strength of that back. So if it's catching passes, that's what they're going to use that running back for. Leonard Fournette seems like the guy you want to use in short yardage situation because unless he's playing the Broncos last year, that's kind of what he does is get just a couple yards every carry.
And they ended up dumping the ball off to him quite a bit last year. It wasn't particularly
he
effective.
had was it like 76 catches or something?
He had 76 catches for 522 yards, which is 7 yards of reception, which is like down half a yard from last season. He also went for over 1,100 yards and he had his best year running the football by far, but only scored 3 times.
Like I said, he's not a bad running back. He's just not lived up to the expectations of where he was drafted. And he came out of a draft where literally every other running back taken, almost literally, are all like considered pretty damn good running backs.
Yeah, I mean, he gets cut like the same exact time Joe Mixon gets an extension.
Joe Mixon, Alvin Kamara's holding out for more money. Christian McCaffrey became the richest running back ever. Like
that one's tough.
Yeah. Eckler was undrafted that year, so it's just bizarre. I think we'll stick to our Buccaneers as going to underperform narrative. They seem like they've acquired so much such a bizarre mix of offensive talent.
Very eclectic.
It feels like the hype for the Browns the year before, but I'm not going to say that because they do have a good quarterback, and that's and a good head coach. Like who knows?
I mean, he'll be a good quarterback if he improves from last year.
Yeah, it's good. It'll be interesting to see how he plays in that offense.
There's not going to be any excuses on offense. They're not going to be like, well, who is he handing the ball to? It's like, I don't know, a couple of, a potential, like a borderline Hall of Famer in LaShawn McCoy.
Yeah.
Although not at this point in his career.
A decent
and Leonard
young
Fournette,
back. And
whatever, 1,100 yards in a Jacksonville offense this year. Or last year, but, a lot of people assume that getting out of Jacksonville and going to Tampa Bay is going to be it's a big upgrade for a running back, but I think Tampa Bay, they've averaged like 3.5 yards per carry over the last few years. Well, they've been ridiculously bad running the football.
Their offensive line wasn't that good last year. So that'll be interesting if they actually got better on the offensive line. I think the defense is going to look a lot better because I think they were underrated last year. They were just put in shitty positions so frequently by Jameis Winston that you get scored on a lot. That's going to change. But
and you had a tackle this year too.
Yeah.
So that could.
They took Wirfs in the.
Yeah, I think it was Wirfs.
So their offensive line should be better, but Leonard Fournette seems like he's got to have a really good offensive line in front of him to be who you want him to be. I don't know how good it is.
Right.
There's a lot of options there, though. I'm
not taking like super productive SEC backs anymore in the top 10.
Yeah, they get a lot of wear and tear.
Yeah, it's like, okay, if you can get Derrick Henry later in the first round or Leonard Fournette in the top 5 or 10, I can't remember where he was drafted exactly. I think it was closer to top 5. But yeah, that just proves you're dumb if you take if you take a running back early, which we knew, but they're the Jaguars. So
the Jaguars, but and even like Derrick Henry took a while to figure out how to be an NFL back or to be like considered really good.
He was never this good, or he wasn't this good early in his career.
No.
That's totally right. And the Titans have invested a lot in their offensive line too.
Yeah, we'll talk more about the Titans next week. Broncos-Titans, week 1. Jarrell Casey, that's going to be fun. The Titans, we'll get into it next week. I want to talk about the Chiefs extending Andy Reid and Veach.
Yes. How can you extend a man whose waistline has been extended as far as it can go?
Oh, I was waiting for you to do it. It was written in the rundown. I was waiting for I didn't set you up well for that. That's my fault.
That was an unassisted goal.
Although I thought Reid looked a little
Mariota throwing it to himself.
Yeah, I thought he looked a little slimmer in his last press conference. But he's going to be in Kansas City.
Maybe they're using like a fisheye lens.
He's going to be in Kansas City through 2025. I don't think the details of his new contract came out, but the first contract Kansas City gave him was $37.5 million over 5 years. I'm guessing after winning a Super Bowl, it should be quite a bit more than that.
Yeah.
And they extended magician Brett Veach, who keeps creating money for the Chiefs out of nowhere. So the GM, the coach, both staying in Kansas. They've officially signed every single person forever. So fuck the Chiefs, because you don't see a lot of teams figure out how to do that.
My stance on this position already is that I wish the world would end every time the Chiefs get to lock up another player for the next 2 centuries. But at some point he's got to get old, right?
Reid?
And he looks like
Andy Reid?
Yeah, Andy Reid.
Yeah, you'd imagine.
I kind of wondered, I thought there's a chance he could retire pretty soon, and he still could.
That was I feel like a media-driven storyline. Like if Andy Reid wins, he might just retire.
He's been at it for a long time.
He really has.
And he's 62.
Okay.
He's an older.
He's got 5 years left if he really wants it.
Probably. Probably.
My dad retired at 62.
After his first Super Bowl. I remember. That's right. Good for him.
And I think my dad could if he were a coach, he'd still be doing it just fine.
You think he could take Andy Reid?
In a fight?
Yeah.
Yeah. My dad's in much better shape than Andy Reid.
I'm going to guess
my dad's actually built like a man, unlike me.
Well, you know what? Genetics can be a cruel mistress sometimes.
Yeah, like my hand can fit like in my dad's like fucking palms. It's like you would not like if you put our hands next to each other, you would not say those are the same genetic line.
Yeah, my father has extremely manlier hands than me too.
So it's really weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how it works. I mean, we are only 50% of them.
I know. Like every day I look at my little baby girl and I'm like, oh, what shitty things are you gonna get from me?
all the bad parts about you and although you know, like what are you gonna curse them with? You can't get the beard.
She could.
She could, but she can always shave it.
My wife and I are both dark-haired and hairy people.
Dark complexion.
She's gonna have to learn to shave very early for a girl, I believe.
That's okay.
I was relieved that she won't have to be tall since she's a girl, so that's nice.
Right. Yeah, I mean, even if she is like gets her exact height and she's 5'7", like that's a very normal height.
Yeah, my wife's 5'2", I'm 5'7", so she's probably going to be
5'4".
5'4".
There you go.
Let's see.
I think that's perfect.
Okay, there was just one last piece of news, not Broncos related, not AFC West related, but Lovie Smith's son, Mikael Smith.
Whose son is this?
Lovie Smith's.
Oh, Lovie Smith. Because I read this as Mike Smith at first, the former Atlanta Falcons head coach.
Oh, no, yeah. Lovie Smith's son, McCall Smith, was arrested for pimping in Arizona. Nice. Another word for pimping is pandering. And he's being charged with receiving earnings from a prostitute and sex trafficking. He did some assistant coaching with his dad in the NFL. I believe he played college football in Arizona. So what has to go wrong to go from being like an assistant coach in the NFL, having a very successful father, to becoming an Arizona pimp? Would be my question. I
mean, it's pretty simple. Like your father just has he just gets worse and worse at his job to the point where he can't hire you to help him out anymore. He went from Chicago to making a Super Bowl to Tampa Bay, where he was a failure, to Illinois, where he was, a failure. So I think he coached somewhere else, and I don't know what he's doing now.
Lovie Smith also 52, like Andy Reid.
62?
Yep.
Well,
and he's got a big gray beard.
Still the head coach at Illinois. His record is 15-34. If you're not successful, people don't really put up with your nepotism quite as much, and I think the son was forced to carve out his own path in life. And may not have been the
exploiting
best
women.
Yes.
Good job.
I have a trivia question for you.
Yeah.
It's a yes or no question. Is pimping easy?
I heard it ain't, Will.
That's correct. I would have also accepted yes.
And that would be the conclusion of the return of the That's Good Broncos podcast. Subscribe here on YouTube. And wherever you listen to podcasts, look for this to be dropping as a That's Good Broncos podcast very soon. And I will have more exciting info coming on that. Thank you, Will, for helping me.
Anytime. Thank you, Father.
Daddy-o.